The subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, the Baroness and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Me.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm who was recently called the meanest woman in Hollywood, and we are on with my co-host, the baddest bear in the cage, which I'm using loosely because you were on streaming earlier with Sam Alvey, and he may not be called Bear, but if he's around, you're not the baddest.
No, I'm definitely not. Again, congrats to him winning his 2 belts at Karate Combat. That was still, it's so amazing that people are still talking about it. Like we hear about it at the gym, walking around. Anyone who's on his live stream is going to talk about it, and it's kind of turned him around a little bit in the audience's favor. He was talking about being on
he's an audience favorite.
Yeah, he is. And he was talking about being on Reddit years ago when he was in the middle of his losing streak in the UFC, and everyone's just dogging on him. They hate him. He's the worst ever. Now you go back and look at the subreddits about him and everyone's praising him.
Oh, he's the god.
He's the god. He's the best.
But that's that way with everyone when you're on a losing streak. Like I've heard people when you've lost fights be like, well, I would have done this. Boy, get in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage anyone who thinks they can do it.
If you think you can do it better, get in the cage. And so I find it really interesting when I feel I'm looking at these microphones.
Yes. Okay.
So you're going to hear this. This is all that is required, is this tiny little thing. But we as a species have used these microphones for so long that the image of a microphone to us is this.
It's professional. You know, it gives off a certain air of I am important, listen to me.
We had these invented because this was the next step. This is a popper that gets rid of the p-t spit sound.
Yeah.
But it's huge. Like what is the point? I'm taking this out of here and I'm just talking into this.
If that's how you want to rock it, you go for that. I
don't see the point in the giant microphone.
Well, it's not in your decisions.
What is it? It's not medically necessary anymore.
It's not medically necessary. It never was medically necessary.
No, it was, but it was necessary technologically.
All right. Well, you know what? It's necessary for me. Okay. It supports my feels.
For some reason, that's me. That's my bad. I had my ringer off on my phone, but not on my tablet. So my assistant is going to take that away and answer it.
Where the hell were we before we started talking about the invention of smaller microphones?
Oh, we were talking about Sam Alvey and his incredible win.
Yes.
And then we were talking about, I believe that you were going to come out of the closet.
No, I don't think you're.
No, you're not coming out of the closet.
Damn it. That's like that thing where the guy's like, when I snap my fingers, you'll forget you were gay. I'm not gay. Exactly.
It's definitely interesting. I wanted to kind of make that joke. There seems to be a whole thing right now where being gay is back to being a bad thing.
Well, you know, I
haven't figured out.
Thank you for everyone noticing my awesome haircut. I got it today. I was talking to my barber about this, and surprisingly, seemed very much into LGBTQ rights. So good for him.
He lives in Palm Springs.
He lives in Cat City. And I go to kind of a hard barber shop, so it's not the first thought you'd have. But he was pissed because he's like, you know what?
Had an erection?
What the fuck?
I'm going
he was pissed because he's like, you know, since we got the new president in office, it feels like they just completely removed anything to do with LGBTQ activism and Pride Month. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, did you know it was Pride Month? I kind of didn't know until a few days in. Exactly. You know how often they talk about Pride Month, and especially under Biden, they were well in advance telling everyone, setting up the parades. But now it's very damped, and they're trying to replace it with men's.
It's conservatism.
Yeah,
it's actually not got to do with who's president or who's not. Can you see?
Just welcoming Jesse to the green room. He'll be on momentarily.
It's not got to do with who's president. It has to do with conservatism. So what ends up happening politically, there is always a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
The more liberal people get, the more they push back. Like I said, I think you guys should just come back to the Commonwealth.
Oh, yes, I know. You'd love us all to go back under the king. Here's the thing, though. Would you guys represent us fairly in the government?
Yes.
No, I don't believe you. You didn't do it the first time. Why would we incentivize us? What do you have that we want to come back to the Commonwealth to?
Actual freedom.
Come on. X exists. We have maybe too much freedom right now.
No, you don't. You guys are very limited.
Yeah, I know. In truth, we are. But still, I don't see a reason to go back. Why can't we be our separate entity? We're happy here. Well, you guys get a lot from
failed.
us. You failed. We saved your ass twice.
Oh, you did. And the highest point in American history where you were the most successful
yes.
was the 1950s, where you were the most financially successful, where you had the most government intervention, the most government help, because there were multiple widows from the war. There was a ton of money being given out to them. There was a ton of government help and the largest union project in history. Oh, and you had national medical.
Just drink your tea, you fucking foreigner.
I'd like to remind everyone, every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and free MMA.
We swear because we care. I love that. Thank you to our sound engineer, the king. Welcome back. Random guy in the background. Off with their heads. Just take them out. Oh, it reminds me a lot of the French Revolution.
Well, in defense, you did take the prince that everyone everyone has trouble with. So, I mean, thank you for that. Oh, yeah. You took the redheaded prince and his American wife. And
Harry,
no one's complaining about that.
And then we see her twerking when she's pregnant in the hospital room.
She was trying to get rid of the look. It was a surrogate rumors.
Oh, okay.
And I've for those that don't know, I had a miscarriage. I did not get to carry to term.
Yeah.
But I did get to 6 months, and I could not have done that at 6 months. And I'm 5'8".
What does height have to do with it?
The smaller you are, the larger that baby's going to seem.
Oh.
I am not a tiny woman. I'm a very tall woman. And I couldn't have twerked at 6 months. You remember how big if I squat down, I wasn't getting back up.
Here's the thing, though. Maybe do you think she's faking it? Did you put a pillow under there or something?
Everyone thinks it was a moon bump.
What the hell's a moon bump?
A fake pregnancy bump. Well, I'd like Jesse's opinion on that. I actually wanted to talk to him about Diddy and all that, and Sam Alvey's win. But let's start with Meghan Markle's pregnancy bump.
Okay, so welcome to the show, Jesse on Fire.
What's up, guys? Did you think you're going to start me with Meghan Markle?
Meghan Markle's pregnancy bump. That's what's trending in the news right now because she put out a video twerking while she was pregnant.
Of course she did. Meghan Markle twerking. You're like, hey, remember when you were like part of the royal family in the UK? You want to be like the first member of the royal family to ever twerk? And just to make it even more like disrespectful, you just do it while you're pregnant. It's like Jesus.
She was in hospital, ready to deliver, and hiked her skirt up. Everyone's freaking out about it. She put it out to kind of dissuade the look. I really was pregnant, but everyone's like that bump's misshapen. And when you're pregnant, really, you can twerk to the floor and get back up because no one else could.
I don't even understand. I have no context on this story at all. They're saying like that she is having another baby like now, or
no, this is from when she was pregnant with Lilibet, the second one. So she put out a video of being she was overdue, so she was massive, and she was twerking and squatting down. Now I never got to 9 months. I lost my baby at 6, but I couldn't have squatted down. I couldn't get back up from a couch.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how she did it at 9.5.
So they think that it's like a fake belly.
Everyone's that's the big conspiracy. Is it a fake belly? And so
this is when she was still in the royal family then?
No, this is in California.
So this is a second kid, I think. So this
is. It wasn't Archie. It was Lilibet.
My time frame on their departure from the royal family is a little bit hazy, but
they were only with the royal family for a year and a half. So as soon as she got married, she was like, I'm just going to take this and go.
I think she drastically, she had a very different idea of what it meant to be in the royal family than what it did. She's like status and wealth and global fame. And you're all, yeah.
It's what?
Unlike the Kardashians, that doesn't mean it comes at no, responsibility and time commitment. Like you are going to be doing stuff all the time. Yeah. She's like, ew.
And the higher the rank, I like that. And the higher the rank, the more you got to do.
Yeah.
So it's my family has a barony, and there are actual requiements to keep it. If once you start going up, you go to an earldom, you go to
don't look at me. I have no idea. I'm a commoner.
There are 5 levels.
A
but
peasant.
I'm
We're
a
peasants, dude.
through
We're
all of
peasants.
through all of them, you have to do more work and you have to spend more time in country, or you lose that title.
Yeah.
It's really a whole thing, and so I'm really surprised they've managed to keep their titles.
That's privilege.
Mhm.
I find her absolutely reprehensible on a level that I can't really put words to, and not because, like, you know, if I watch her talking, I'm like, she's just like every one of these other phony, like, or I guess what she thinks she is, an A-lister, but like, and
She's
Harry,
blacklisted.
I just see, I'm like, oh, he's the biggest pussy on earth, because nothing is more important than family, like nothing, you know. And for her to go into that, it's like, look, if you wanted to, you know, take Harry and go live a different life, I don't know. I've never been in a royal family. I don't know. I can't judge how awful it was for her. But the second that you make part of your departure to slam the entire thing, like slam Harry's family, it's like, you bitch are fucking on a list with me that you don't want to be on. Like, it's an irredeemable thing to have done, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, you can't attack your husband's family publicly. Like, you can't do that. You know, you cannot do that if you have any class or principles at all.
And then someone who we expect to have class and principles in Harry just kind of joined with her, or at least did nothing during those times.
The big thing, the 2 big things, they're now trying to walk it back and say they didn't say the royal family was racist. That's
bullshit. I saw them say that.
So did I. And Oprah pulled the replay of the video, and so as it goes, Oprah is so angry over all the BS that they said and the number of lies that came out. So Oprah's like, I'm never playing this video again.
How black is your baby gonna be? Yeah. Fucking right. Okay. A, no one said that.
Yep.
Okay. B, I didn't know, Meghan Markle, that you were black until you fucking said it out loud. Okay. Like that.
The funny part is, the darker the baby would have been, the happier the royal family would have been. 51% of the Commonwealth is black. They were thrilled when he married her.
51% of
51% of the Commonwealth is black. Not in the UK.
It's every
Commonwealth,
every
Australia, Africa, most of the African nations that are involved in the Commonwealth. There are 281 countries in the Commonwealth, and most countries are black. And so when the Meghan Markle married in, you could just see the royal family go, yes! Like, we got, you know, because they were, one of the comments they made when Angela of Liechtenstein married in, how wonderful it was that it was getting more and more multicultural, and how they wish they had that. And that's why she got a much easier road into the royal family than anyone else ever has. She stayed at Sandringham before they were married. She was invited to church before they were married. The royal family was definitely going, huh?
Hey, look how that played out. You better hope they're not making decisions based on people's race, because guess what you just did for the likelihood of anybody else getting in the family. First one they let in, and then she comes in and just guts the fucking place.
Well, that's the joke of it. She's not. Queen Charlotte, half black. There are multiple members of the family. We are not as worried about race as we are about
you guys are very
social standing. No,
everybody is. That's like my biggest pet peeve on that particular topic, because like it's a complicated issue, obviously, and when people try to act like, you know, there's nothing in society where blacks have a harder time, it's like, that's
of course
just
they
not
do.
True.
Yeah,
but when LeBron James tells me it's hard to be black in America and he's talking about himself, I'm like, dude, you're not black, you're rich. Okay. Like, there's like, if you're wealthy superstar, do you really think that when people look at you, they see he's black? Or do you think they go, that's LeBron James? You know what I mean? Like, you have the opposite of challenges. You know, Whoopi Goldberg, same thing. Get the fuck out of here, Whoopi. You are famous and rich. You're not black. Like, as much as it's you think, oh, it actually does cancel it out, dude. I'm sorry. You're a superstar.
No, it was well put, and I'm going to call one of the most detestable men in history.
Oh, good.
I'm not black. I'm OJ.
Yes, no, that's exactly right.
That's all it comes down to, and
Wealth and power changes everyone's perspective
people
about
can
you.
be my mom's Jewish, my dad's Catholic.
Mhm.
Again, my father, my family holds a barony. Magically, there's no anti-Semitism coming my direction when you grow up titled.
Again, money and power changes people's perception of you.
Yep.
No matter what walk of life, unless you're caught rubbing baby oil on everybody.
There we go. That's what we went to.
Okay,
I have been watching. Suddenly, I have been watching your videos. I'm dying.
Yeah, dude.
So, do you want to give everyone a quick update on that?
Yeah, sure. So in the Diddy trial, the most recent things that have happened that are kind of interesting is like in the last couple days, one thing that I just I don't even know. I did cover it a little bit, but so one of the guys that was an escort who participated in these freak offs, he did a couple podcasts and he described like for real, like, and not like reading about it in transcripts. Like I got to see his face and him describing what these freak offs were like. And they are so like, it's so bizarre, dude. For an entire year, he was seeing them and he had no idea it was Diddy because Diddy would wear, one of those Muslim things that like covers it, like that the women wear that covers their whole face. So he had no idea who it was. And like Diddy the whole thing is like a live movie for Diddy. Like, it's like,
they said it was the equivalent of dark
he's like
web.
the director. He would never, ever talk to the dudes. Okay. Like, like if like two people are in a fight and they're you can tell her that she could get her shit out by Friday. And she's like, like you have to like, but
run
Diddy
back
did that
and tell them
all the time where he's like, hey, have him move his leg up, or whatever. And you're like, anyway, but the thing that was really fascinating, I thought was, he was doing the interview was with Cameron, and Cameron is like, he's kind of like a crude, dude, like not crude, but I don't know. On a public podcast, I'm not going to are we saying we're allowed to swear on this again?
Yes, we are.
He actually said this sentence, and I am only repeating it because I want to have the impact of like how I'm like, that's not a question I would ever ask a person on a, he's also after all of that, like the description of the freak off, he's like, hey, how was that pussy though? And I was like, Jesus, dude. Like, and so, but the reason why I bring it up is because the dude's answer was very telling. Like, because the dude was just like, I don't know, man. And he's like, come on, man. We from Harlem, man. How was that pee, dog? And he's like, I got to be honest with you, man. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I could never get into it. He's like, you had sex with her 1 million times. He's like, a lot, dude. He's like, but I can't answer that question because I could never connect. Like, I couldn't connect with her at all because it was like a show that we were putting on for him. He's like, he's like, dude, I was taking tons of Viagra because I couldn't even like get into this. He's like, I was just doing it for the money, man. He's like, I was just doing it for the money. And I thought about that. I'm like, that is actually extremely telling about like the mindset of what this is actually about. It's like, the people who do like the cuck fantasy thing, that's about them getting humiliated, or feeling helpless, where like some dude that they have no ability to protect their girl or whatever, and it's happening right in front of them and they can't do anything. Like that's like a humiliation fetish. This is the opposite of that. Like this is like like a power thing for Diddy, like every other thing, like every other thing in his life, where I'm gonna get this young male model to go down on me because I can. It's like I'm not even sure if he's actually into dudes. I think he just wants to punk everybody. And so to me, like after hearing it, it's the exact same thing. He's like, I'll get my girl to fuck another guy, and I'll just have him just doing whatever I say. I can end it anytime. I can have them keep going. I'll just rub one out right in front of this dude, and he's just gonna keep on going. It's like it's this weird. I don't know. Like it's
control.
It's fucking demented, is what it is to me. Like that shit's weird, dude.
The control is a great way of putting it.
Well, they said they found, what really kind of broke my heart a little is they said they found videos of Bieber from when he was underage.
Oh yeah, I've been talking about it. It's like
everyone's trying to push for the release of these videos, and I'm like, he's a child.
Don't put that video out, dude.
Don't you dare.
Yeah.
Like it's finding out what he did to Usher, what he did to Bieber, what it's horrifying. And I always tell everyone I went to Diddy's parties, obviously not the after parties, but I'd been to Diddy's parties, I'd been to those events, and it's so interesting to me that he had these two different ways of presenting himself. One he did to regular Hollywood, would go to his parties, that sort of thing, and anyone he could kind of get to stay and get involved with him, it was very, very different. And you hear about there was one story about Will Smith specifically. Mm-hmm. He had got Will Smith on video with another guy, and he had asked Will Smith essentially for help, or he'd put these videos out after this came out about him beating up Cassie and what he did to Bieber. And Will Smith's response was very, very telling, which was, I don't care if you put out those videos, man, I'm not going to help you hurt kids.
Well, but Diddy still had the video, because like what I thought had happened is I thought when the feds raided his properties, they got all of the videos, so Diddy didn't have access to them anymore. I mean, he'd be a fucking moron not to have them backed up somewhere in the cloud so that a secret place in the cloud. But that's interesting because I don't really know what to think of the Usher one. The Bieber one, it sounds like, is pretty like, unless it's a completely fabricated story by really powerful people who can do that, but then they don't actually directly name Bieber. It seems pretty definitive that it has to be Bieber. It's like it's a young male star who's a bigger star than Diddy. Yeah, many people have verified having seen it. The people who are in that person's entourage responded to the New York Post and actually gave a statement on it. And so it's real. And who else is and then they're all, the reason we're not putting this out is because the person who's on the tape might have been a minor at the time of the video. It's got to be Bieber,
Well, it's the only choice. But remember, Diddy pulled in Usher when Usher was underage. Then Usher pulled in Bieber. So
I know.
Did you ever see? I'm going to sound like the devil for saying this. Did you ever see the skit on Saturday Night Live of Robo Chomo?
No.
Watch it when you get a chance. But it's essentially you molest the robot, and then hopefully the robot goes on to molest other children. That seems to be it's with the
Rock.
on
SNL.
It's a fantastic, best skit of all time. Watch it. But it's with the Rock.
So I watch it right after.
Robo Chomo. But essentially, it's the most evil invention. But that's what it is. And Diddy molested Usher.
Right.
Usher went and got Bieber and took him over. No, it doesn't look like he did. It looks like he just took Bieber to Diddy.
Right.
But Usher started his career,
which makes you go. Did you watch Usher when he was on the Howard Stern show, though?
I did not.
So so Howard Stern has this conversation with Usher about what it was like when he stayed with him when he was 13 or whatever. Yeah. And Usher does not strike me as a dude who is very good at like lying and it being very hard to figure out if he's lying to a person like me. And his interview came off very believable. And like after watching, I'm like, I don't know if Diddy put a hand on Usher or not. Like because I don't know if he did, then Usher is much better at lying than I gave him credit for. But like everything that I've seen between Diddy and Bieber is the opposite. Like the way that they interact with each other when I've seen like these kind of like, oh, here's this thing of like, they're filming when they, they
met each other when he was on the
Bieber's terrified of him. If you watch him with Bieber is genuinely terrified of him.
That is the especially that one. Did you ever see the video where people said it looked like Puff was patting him down, like where he hugs him? And this is like right before he got arrested. Yeah. And he hugs Bieber and then he keeps like, patting him on the chest. And it's like people said that they thought that he might have been patting him down. That one especially, that one is like super sus to me, where I'm like, oh dude, that energy is like, but
trying to see if he's wearing a wire or something.
Yeah, or something.
What he did to him was horrifying.
Yeah. He turned him out. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like,
and the mother, the worst part is the mother knew and went along with it.
I don't know if she knew for sure.
She was at the parties and also considered in some of the videos.
Bieber's mom? How do you know that?
A friend in the LAPD, and that's going to be presented later in the trial.
they're going to put Bieber in this trial?
No, not him personally, Bieber's mum. And it's going to be because he was underage and everything. It's going to be closed. But
If
it will
that
be
ends up being in the trial,
that's part of the RICO, because they're trying to get him on trafficking, and it's showing that he took Bieber essentially from Toronto to California. It showed him taking Usher from out of state as well. Now it's past statute, but on some of what they did, but it's to show a pattern.
Listen,
and so that will be that one. They said they will not be naming who, but it will be included.
I hope you're right, but I'm gonna be like cautious. Like, I'll call myself cautiously optimistic on that, because Comey, the prosecutor, James Comey's daughter,
Right.
Same one who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know why she is the one who's prosecuting this, is because her job is to put Diddy away and not bring anyone else into it that is not,
necessary
meant to be in it.
Yeah.
So I would be shocked if they actually brought, because people always figure out who they are. Every one of these like anonymous witnesses, it's a day later, everyone knows who they are.
I think the reason they're pulling him is because everybody already knows. It already leaked about the videos and everything else. Because with RICO, for those that don't know, with RICO, what you have to prove is you have to prove trafficking, you have to prove extortion, you actually have to prove. I mean, there's some on there about arson. And he's hit every mark.
Arson, yes. But the trafficking is a separate charge. Like, so that he's actually charged with trafficking. The RICO one has a bunch of predicates under it, and you have to prove 2 of them. Like, as long as you prove 2, then but the trafficking is like, the trafficking is a
part of
separate
RICO.
charge.
Well, yes, but it's also part of RICO. So if you look into the RICO statute, one of the things it talks about is traveling. Now, it doesn't have to be trafficking. It can be trafficking drugs. It can be trafficking.
You're right. You're 100% right. You're right. It's but
he's got 2 things. He's got
they have it under a different name under the RICO, but you're 100% right. Like, because it's about like bringing the escorts from one state to another. Counts as a predicate charge. You're 100% right. Yeah, and then
and they have trafficking. Yeah. So it's very clever how they've done it. Because if you look at each individual charge fits under the RICO Act and is their own charge. They're really trying to fry him.
Well, it's like, I think that the trafficking, the reason that they're separated is because I think the trafficking one on its own is about Cassie and others specifically. Yeah. And then on the RICO one that they have it under, I'm pretty sure is about the escort. Like, they're charging it for a different act thing. Like, where it's like taking the escorts, paying them, bringing them across state lines ends up being a RICO predicate. Yeah. And I mean, dude, if you look at the list of RICO predicates and all you have to do is get him on 2, like, dude, he's cooked. And you know what happened yesterday? What happened? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say RICO is an interesting one because you can be charged for it and it adds on to any existing crimes. So if let's say you get charged with murder and you get hit with RICO, it extends your murder, your time for murder, and you get charged for the RICO. So I understand why they're going after him for it. I think it's very clever.
They're trying to bury him, but
he will die in prison.
So something that happened yesterday is that the judge, he excused the jury and then told the attorneys that he's like, I am warning you one time about this. I will kick Diddy out of this courtroom for the remainder of the trial if he doesn't stop interacting with the jury. So he was so he's like staring at them and nodding at them, whatever. And I thought about that. So initially when I heard that, I was just trying to I'm like, okay, so what would he have been doing? Like, and because they said that like, oh, he's nodding his head and he's staring at them or whatever. Initially, I thought like, oh, he must know this case is going bad and he's like trying to intimidate them maybe, but that's not what it was. It's and then I was like, maybe when the defense makes a good point, he's looking at him and like nodding like that. And it was that. But what it sounds like is he is picking out specific jurors and he's building a relationship with them until he's like, like going like this. And the thing is, if he is successful doing that with 2 of them,
he's fine.
I'm pretty sure he's off, right?
Yeah. He'll get hung at least, like hung jury.
Because I could see that happening because if you get like, there are a lot of people who really like subscribe to the thing. Like, I just can't see him doing that, like that, like is in their brain.
I don't know how, like, I mean, I hate to say that, but I get it. People love stars. They love stars.
That's it.
I mean, we have like one movie star left, which is Tom Cruise. And he's even a nutball, no offense. Love him to death, but
listen.
And I think Diddy is kind of like the end of that golden rap era. So people love him, but good God.
It can be with any star celebrity. It can be with any influencer. I love Jesse. I love your content. If it came out that Jesse had like some dog fighting ring, I would be like, no, I can't believe that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't care what evidence they have. Like,
I've had with you. Yeah, I'd be like, no, Jesse's not that guy.
They're planting shit on my guy. They just want to silence him. It's not.
And like if Diddy does, if his defense team does a good job, as they have been doing, of discrediting certain witnesses.
Yeah.
Like if the impression that a few jurors have is that, let's say 2 or 3 of these witnesses were being untruthful for self-benefit. Like, again, I guess the one with the with his assistant, I don't know, a couple days ago, where she said he raped her. He said that and they did apparently a really good job, like a really good job of, because she has an active civil case against him. Yeah. And the thing about this is like, when it's the assistants and they're like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And when you can actually show in writing, like right after this, oh my God, you're such an amazing inspiration to me, Puff. Like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like this guy, whatever. Like that looks bad. Even though I understand, like,
you don't want your
entire life hinges on this guy's opinion of you. And so like, of course, these things can be true. And at the same time, the thing about it though is like, okay, so, she said that one time she was asleep, like in her bed, and she just woke up and he was just like on top of her or whatever. And another time she was like half asleep and he just like stuck his dick in her mouth or whatever, like, stuff like that. I completely believe that he did that,
Oh yeah.
But then she continued to work with him and continue to act like it's normal and then whatever. And so you're kind of like,
you have choice.
Is that almost like consent afterwards? It's like, if you still, I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? But like, you can understand how a person would see it that way. You're like, okay, well, like you're saying this, but then you behave this way. So like, clearly you didn't actually have a real huge problem with it. Cause like you did, you know what I mean? It's like, they apparently
there's no gray. It's all super black and white. And that's
I look at it this way.
Putting it out there.
Yeah.
Just because I have $5, if you take my $5 without my consent,
that's a great
that's
analogy.
Stealing. Just because I'm sitting there with $5 on the table does not mean you get to take my $5.
Totally.
Just because I have more money in my purse does not mean you get to take that $5. Just because I see you again after you took my $5 does not mean you didn't steal from me.
Yeah, you're right. And like there are certain scenarios where behavior, I think, discredits the accusations. I don't think this is one of them though. No. Like this is,
I've worked with
boss. Like he's her boss. Like if he's gonna blackball her from the industry for 100% sure if she does anything, and she's like, okay, I definitely did not want to do that. I was asleep. I didn't give consent at all. Yep. I feel really weird and gross about it. But am I willing to destroy my entire life in order to kind of like make this accusation that's going to be really hard to defend? No. Right. And then you just kind of, that doesn't mean that the thing that's different.
I had a boss when at one of the studios. I'm not going to say which one because I love him, but he got pissed because the director went over time. He threw a stapler at the director. It hit me in the head. I was bleeding down my face. He yelled at me for not ducking, made me give him back the stapler so he could throw the director again. I didn't quit. I didn't leave. Because if I did, what was I going to?
Gave him permission to hit you in the face with a stapler? Probably not.
Pretty much, yeah.
No,
But if I left, this was one of the top studio executives in the world. I was lucky to have an internship with him.
Yeah, it's honestly like when if I was the prosecutor in my closing argument, I would go back to those text messages and posts that they put up, and I would use that against them. I would be like, you guys think that this discredits these? What this actually does is demonstrate the level of power and control that he had over all of these people, because he could just go like this and destroy their life to the point where he could rape them, and then they still have to behave like this. And like, this is a person who took whatever he wanted. He had no regard for anybody else. He's whatever, like, but like the Shannon. Okay. But like the flip side of that argument, not in the Diddy case, but in others, is like the Shannon Sharp one, where this woman's like, oh my God, yeah, he like brutally took it and blah, 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 blah. And it was on this date and this date and this date. And then like, she's like, yeah. And then, we did, and then, so he did it on this day, and then he did it again on this day, then he did it again on this day. Those are 3 weeks apart each. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay. Oh, you met him in a hotel room and he just brutally took it from you and beat you. And then you're like, 3 weeks later, you're back in town? Awesome. I'll see you at the hotel room. It's like, yeah, fucking right, bitch. Like, I don't believe you. Not to mention, you put out a recording, and it's like, see, this proves it. And Shannon Sharp immediately, he's like, put out the whole tape. Hey, put out the whole tape. Yep. You edited 2.5 minutes of a role play that I was stupid enough to fall for. Yeah. It's like, and Tony Busby represents that girl, the same guy who's representing all the Diddy accusers. He must be just fucking printing money off this Diddy case, behind the scenes with all these, A-listers that are settling. And so he's like, Jesus, I'm going to just keep doing this.
Who's going to be pissed about that girl going after Sharp, though, because that was one of those. No, that's not reasonable. That is absolutely someone jumping on she set him up. Like that would
100%
totally set him up.
Absolutely.
And so she's gone to this attorney who's legitimately defending people who were genuinely assaulted, and then goes, here's this video, here's this, and not telling him she's hiding 90% of it.
I bet you Busby knows. He's a shark, dude. That guy, like, I bet he knows. I remember I watched when he first was representing the Diddy accusers. I did some research on him. He's a very high level attorney. Like he represented the governor of Texas's CFO. Is this huge like political corruption case in Texas, and he represented it. But I found a video of him from way before that. He did this piece when he was much younger that they were and he had all these Ferraris parked in front of his house. He has like shark stuff all over his house. He's like, I'm just the biggest shark in the ocean, man. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy is like, he's out to win and he doesn't give a fuck. He represented the girl who accused Jay-Z. It was unbelievable that he fucking took that case. Like, that was an outright lie. And anyone who did one step of verification of that case would have known. Because she said that her dad, like where she killed her entire credibility, I mean, aside from a bunch of other things, was she's like, yeah, and then I went and ran and called my father and he came and picked me up. And then they asked her own father and he's like, yeah, that didn't happen. He's like, that would have been a 10-hour round trip. He's like, when she was 13, picking her up in Manhattan, I'm pretty sure I would fucking remember that. It's like, you didn't even verify with her own dad whether he actually picked her up or not. You know what I mean?
I can tell. So years ago, there was a band called Silverchair. They invited me to this after party. My dad dragged me back to the car. No, the answer was no. I was like 13 or 14. If my dad found out somebody assaulted me, that person would not be alive. That would be the end of that person. If I was 10 hours away at 13 from where my father knew I was, not only would he remember it, you guys would be hearing my eulogy. It's just not plausible at that. I mean, unless you're talking about really bad parenting.
It's not plausible that he wouldn't remember. It's impossible.
Your children are 13. Let's say your kid's 13. Boy, girl, doesn't matter. You find out they're 5 hours away, 6 hours away from where you think they should be, coming out of some rapper's hotel room.
Oh, there, 100%. I remember that. That's etched into my memory, like I got buried alive one time. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like that is etched forever. There's a 0% chance I forget that.
And how many questions? That's it. But how many questions are you asking your kid when she comes or he comes out of that room?
I honestly can't even put myself in the position of that because it's impossible. Like that,
Yeah.
like the way I parent, like that, it's that would so never happen that it's like beyond even comprehension. Like my kids, we had a wedding this last weekend, like my whole family, huge wedding. Like my cousin married the daughter of an extraordinarily prominent person. I'll tell you guys offline. I don't want to like put his name in public,
Right.
but so like we were at this wedding and like, you know, there's a bunch of like these big fucking big wig East Coast like money guys, and like, you know, the bride side of the family were some fucking big deal people, you know. And my daughters were that we, you know, there was the rehearsal dinner, we had the wedding itself, we had the you know, the whatever farewell brunch. My kids, without any question, were the best behaved group of any of the kids. Like at least, you know, because we're always kind of watching, and at least one kid out of every single, you know, group of kids had at least one meltdown at some point during this like 3-day thing. And my kids were perfect, flawless. And I was talking to my uncle about it, who's like, he's like me, like this uncle, he lives in Texas also. And he's like, your girls were just so well behaved. And I'm like, that's because my girls know that no matter what emotional thing that they're having at the time, they know that the fucking hammer that comes down on them if they make a scene at a place like this is not worth it. Like they will suck it up because they know on the other side of an outburst at a fucking wedding or something like this is they just know. Like that's what, it's never happened. My kids have never blown up at a wedding ever. And they sure as fuck are not going to be in Manhattan going to a fucking Jay-Z party when they're 13. It's impossible.
First half of that, parents are not teaching emotional regulation to their children. They're coddling their children going, it's fine, sweetie. Freak out.
Or even like validating it. So there was a kid who had to leave, right? Like it was like they like had to leave. And then they, you know, my daughter talked to them and they're all, what happened? There was too many people and I just got anxious. You know, the kid's like 11 and the kid's mom was there and my, like, you know, Giselle, who actually does specifically turn 13 in a few weeks, was like anxious. And then the girl's mom was like, don't you ever get anxious? You know, or don't you ever feel anxious or whatever? And Giselle, her answer to them was, I mean, I don't really know, but even if I did, my dad would just tell me to suck it up. And I was like, that's the fucking best thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, I don't understand how you get your child to a point where they can communicate with you coherently and still have that kind of problem.
The question is the child mentally ill? Is the child developmentally delayed? Then there is no excuse.
This kid's extremely talented. This is a this is a really good kid, like a really good kid, very, very talented, but an artsy kid that like is, you know, an incredible kid, like a really incredible.
The parent is not doing that kid any favors. If you do not learn emotional regulation, you cannot function. And your parents teach you emotional regulation.
100%. And we've looked at that way since our kids were tiny, where it's like, you know, we're learning to swim. You know, like learning to swim when they're 2 or whatever, 3. And like other people, you know, I don't want you, mommy. And it's like, fucking, we'll force their fucking head underwater. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't like your feelings are irrelevant. We're teaching you to swim. Like you need to fucking learn this, you know?
Right.
It's like that kind of thing all the time. And it's like, it turns them into
people, adults.
Yeah.
Children know how to be children. They need you to teach them to be adults.
Exactly.
That sounds like that's what you're doing. Children are very good at being children.
Yeah, if you give kids free reign, what do? They're fucking terrors. Like your entire job is like, this is how you behave at a wedding. Like every grown-up knows you're at a wedding, you don't throw some big public hissy fit. Like, of course,
not every grown-up knows that because people that were raised that way grow up and then suddenly wear white to a wedding.
That's fair.
They should know that. They should be raised that way. They should be raised the way you're raising your daughter. Yeah. But just because they should be doesn't mean there are not people in the world wearing white to weddings, sitting crying front row because, you know, this is bringing up their anxiety or they're stressed or whatever. Look, when my son died, I got invited to a baby shower. He was hit by a drunk driver. I was not okay. I did not go to the baby shower.
Got killed by a drunk driver?
Yes.
How old?
He was 18. I'd had him since he was 12.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was horrific. Worst. The only reason I didn't walk in traffic is I had adopted another little girl, and you can't, I couldn't. Worst experience of my life. I was invited to a baby shower a while after that. And let me tell you, I wasn't going because I know I will not be okay going to this little boy's baby shower. And it's not about me. So if you can't cope, don't go.
Yeah.
This is why you put your children in martial arts. This is exactly why I always tell people to go do martial arts. Yeah, I listen, whether you're getting choked, put in uncomfortable positions, or punched in the face, you're essentially told and taught to just deal with it. That's the whole idea. And once you get used to getting physically attacked consistently, crowds probably don't bug you as much anymore.
That's exactly it, dude. It's exactly it. And like I was talking about that specifically this week, and also at the farewell brunch was like I was telling the family like the reason. So Giselle, my oldest, because of the pandemic, by the time like when she got very good very fast because she was training so much during the pandemic, but there were no tournaments, so she couldn't compete. So by the time she was competing, she won her first tournament she competed in was a big tournament. She won the tournament. So like she went, I mean, it was many years ago, but I just mean like it was due to circumstance that she was already competitive to win by the time she was the other two who are much younger and started competing much later. When they started competing, I knew they had no fucking chance of winning. Like I knew that I knew they wouldn't win a single fight. And I kept putting them in on purpose. Not because I'm like, oh, I mean, obviously them winning eventually is a great lesson also, but I put them in specifically because I knew they would lose. And it's like, what are they actually in there for? Are we putting them in there because I'm trying to build, like world champion level kids? I mean, that would be cool or whatever, but it's like, that's not what it's about. It's about accepting. It's like dealing with high pressure situations where you are not in control, staying calm. My kids have never fucking once cried after a jiu-jitsu match ever. They've lost a million fights. They never cry. I don't know. Do you do a lot of like kids tournaments at all?
Yeah, I do. I have my own. So I have my own students compete. I go to my coach students who I coach as well. So like my students too, I watch them compete. I've seen them like they have this thing called IMAF. It's basically just junior MMA division, no headshots. Everything else is cool. I've watched kids get their arms snapped. Like look at the situation, and think I can still win this, and I'll let this happen so that I can win for whatever reason, and it just happens by accident. And whatever they figure it out. They got medics on site, but these are some of the toughest. These are the kids who are like, I'm not building world champion kids. These are the world champion kids. They're going overseas to fight in foreign countries.
Joe Stevenson is coaching the U.S. Olympic team for 2028. There's going to be MMA in the Olympics in Los Angeles. This is that team. So these are kids that are exactly the way you're talking about your children. That is actually how you build champions.
No, and there are
like my team is we're under Shunji, so like Shunji Ribeiro. So like there are kids that are but I was just saying for my kids, that wasn't what it was like about, it was just like about that. But not so, and obviously I take that back. Giselle has cried when she was injured in a fight.
That's different. That's different.
That is different. Yeah. My point was at those tournaments, it's like 40% of the time when a kid loses, they cry. Like 40%, literally like 40% of the time you watch, the loser cries, and my kids don't. And it's not because I'm like, hey, don't be a pussy. It's about emotional regulation. Like I set the fucking rules. Like, look, you guys, my kids, as long as you fight hard, you fight your best, you do your best, it is what it is, but no crying, and they don't. And it's not it's not because I'm like, I'm not raising pussies in this family. It's about controlling your emotions in environments like that. Like I look at martial arts as the best possible parenting vehicle that you can do for the exact reasons that we're talking about. It's like, if you can control your emotions in that environment, you can certainly control your emotions if you're at a wedding and you're hungry. You know what I mean?
Wedding. But that's it. You're building champions that way, and it doesn't have to be champion fighters. You are building successful people.
Yes.
When I look at the people that, most of these kids they're dealing with right now are going to be cut. Most of them are not going to make it to the Olympics. So they're throwing all of themselves into it now because that's what they want to do.
These range anywhere from the competing kids have to be 18 years or older,
right?
For the Olympics, but those fighting right now, it range anywhere from like 8 to 17.
And so a lot of these
Hey,
kids,
that's a big difference. 8-year-olds and 17-year-olds.
You watch some of these 8-year-olds, and it's
I
like
know.
me at 12. This 8-year-old that kicked my ass at 12.
Dude.
And it's crazy.
It's unbelievable how good some of these kids are. So there's this kid, Victor, on our team,
Mhm.
and he's 10. Okay. He's like probably maybe certainly top 5 in the world at his age and weight class. But when he finds out that the guy who won Pans and Worlds is competing in this tournament, he travels to it to fight him specifically. Like, and he,
No kidding.
Yeah, he's a killer, dude. And he's the crazy thing is his dad is not a martial arts guy. His dad is like they're from Bulgaria, I think, and they speak like Ukrainian, Russian, Bulgarian, whatever. His dad can't remember shit. Okay, like I train with him all the time, and like sometimes I'll end up partnered with him, and I'm like, dude, I have myself partnered with you doing this sequence 4 or 5 times. How the fuck do you not remember this, dude? You know, like he just does it because he's just like doing it because his kid loves it.
Yeah.
You know? But Victor, he is such a little fucking savage. He's like this. He's super good looking too, and he carries himself like a world champion already. And he's also this really polite kid. Has incredible. I told my daughters, it's like one of you has to marry that kid, and they're like,
tell him,
you don't have a choice.
Yeah, tell him about his social media. If this is going to be that boy's career, the sooner he gets his social media going, because that's what, especially if he wants to, get picked up by labels. I know UFC now won't take you with less than 50,000 followers. PFL is like 75. Karate Combat is close to 100. So if have him start, dude, you're the perfect person to tell him that.
No,
like, I never even thought about that. But I could, dude. And if I start promoting that kid, they'll watch his tapes and be like, fuck. I didn't realize how good
sign him. Manage him.
Wow.
Sign him. Do his media. Take him.
It's not a terrible idea. I didn't realize how good he was until this one day where, sometimes we have Gracie Humada comes and then like they bring their kids and then they're a really, really good competition team also. And there was this kid, there's this other kid in the class who is very, 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 very good. And there was this yellow belt kid. So the kid's like he's the black belt instructor's kid. Yeah. And he's 10 and he's a yellow belt. His technique is fucking absurd. It's like you watch him and you're like, this kid's technique is better than, I don't even know. You almost want to say he's pretty fucking close to black belt level already. And he's and he's a yellow belt 10-year-old, So the other kid was going against him. And I've never seen that kid lose before. This kid in a tournament, I've never seen him lose a tournament fight ever. This other kid. Yeah. And this dude fucking mopped him. Like just like he must have tapped him out 6 times during the round. And I was like, this kid's unreal. I go into the locker room, come back out, and Victor's fighting that same kid, and he has him locked in a fucking triangle. And I was like, holy shit. And that's from there. That's when he really got on my radar where I was like, dude, this fucking Victor kid is something different. And he's like, that kid is I love that fucking kid, dude. That's awesome. He's a little stud, dude. He weighs probably weighs 70 pounds, maybe.
Well, he's got, but if he's got the looks, he's got the talent, he's emerging.
He does, dude.
Sign him.
Yeah, figure out a way to figure out.
Sign him. Get his social
I don't need
media
to make
going.
money on him. I just want to help him because I love it. I love his dad. His dad's awesome. I want to marry. I want one of my kids if I can marry this kid.
That speaks really highly, actually.
That's probably the biggest compliment that a father of daughters could give anyone.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure it is. But that's why you also tell this little kid to start, even dad, like, hey, just put a phone in front of him for a second. Get a highlight of him doing something. Get him talking about his career path. You know all this. And he has a rare opportunity. You're better at it
than anyone in the world, Jesse.
And he has a rare opportunity to someone as good as you.
Yeah, so his voice is like, so I'm 10, like I told you, carries himself like an adult, but like he's like, hi, so like it'll be so classic because you'd watch this, you'd watch a video sequence of him doing this fucking ridiculous back take and strangle, and then hey, so talk about it. He'd be like, well, it's like it would actually be hilarious, like really, really good.
I like that. And so it's like, did you meet my dinosaur? Like that's perfect.
We're a bit over the timeline, guys.
Oh God.
We're over. No, it's cool. It's us. It's not you. We do have to run away now.
Okay. Hey. Jesse, tell everyone where to find you quickly.
JesseOnFire on YouTube and on Instagram and X and TikTok. It's real JesseOnFire.
Make sure you're
Excellent.
following Jesse. I get half my news from him. like half of what you guys hear on the show, I just went and watched Jesse talk about.
I like that, dude. Thank you. Hey, Bear, hit me up after this, and I want to talk to you about a couple of things. But
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. All right, guys.
If you stay on here, we'll go off. So hang on one sec.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Scenes. I'm the Baroness, and we're with my co-host, Bear Fiorda. We went over with Jesse on Fire. Make sure you're following him. We'll see you next week. Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with the Baroness and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.